Hi, my name is Daniel, and today in this show and tell, I'll be showing you how to hook up the gauges to an existing system. The first thing you want to do is to check the type of refrigerant you're going to be working with. Make sure that your manifold gauge is compatible with it. There's usually a label in the side that's going to show you what it is. In this case, something fell out there. It's got to be R22. Let me see where it is. Refrigerant 22, R22. So these gauges are definitely compatible with R22. So we're good to go. The next step, which is as important as to know how to hook it up to the system, is to check for your gauges and make sure that they work properly. One of the first things you do, you check your washers right here, your rubber O-rings, and to make sure that they're in good conditions. Very quickly, this one looks good. This one is good as well. And you want to check for dry rot from the hoses as well. You do it by squeezing them like that. If you see cracks or white, then you know you have to replace them. This one looks good as well. This one looks good. Then you want to make sure that your valves are closed, righty-tighty. This way right here, righty-tighty. So they are both closed right now. You can check the back O-rings here as well when you're hooking up on the system, or right now. I'm going to do it right now. But you also have to make sure that you have the shredder, the presser here. Otherwise, when you hook up your hoses to the system, it's just not going to let the refrigerant flow through, and it's going to pretty much reach zero. That one looks good. This one looks good. This one looks good as well. And one of the reasons why we're going through all these steps is because the system is pressurized, and you want to avoid losing a lot of refrigerant and burning your hands, and you want to avoid those things. Right now, the high side is the lowest it can ever be in terms of pressure, and the high side is usually located at the top, and the low side at the bottom. That's usually in the case in this package unit. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the caps. You want to put them around where you can see them, they don't get dirty. Be careful not to put them close to the fan, because it can actually fall there and hit you in the face, or something. It can bend the fan. And this one is metal, so it can actually do some damage. Okay? So again, the high pressure is the lowest it can be right now. We're going to go ahead and hook up the high side. Another step that is important, you don't want to add moisture or non-condensables or anything into the system, is to purge your lines. And the way we do it is by loosening this up a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 turns, depending on what kind of gauges you have. I happen to know that this one's is about 2.5. And once you start hooking it up, you start it, and then with one hand you keep spinning, and with the other one you hear, so the refrigerant goes through and purges the line, like this. Right. So that's the high side, right? Now the low side is going to be at its lowest point once the system is running, and the compressor is basically moving the refrigerant. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the system on and wait for a bit. So we go here to the thermostat, turn the system on cool. We make sure that it's low enough. Right now it's at 62, and the inside temperature is 69. So we just wait for a bit. It should take between 3 to 5 minutes for the system to reach the normal levels, which would be like the low side lower, the high side high. So we can just wait for a little more. If you're in the job site, you don't want to be sitting around just waiting, but you want to maybe bring your tools, figure out what you're going to do, maybe walk around and do a visual inspection, or trying to figure it out, the shape of the system, if you can hear something. But the idea is not to stay around not doing anything, right? say? Well, something that is interesting to mention is that this is the low side gauge, the compound gauge. You can actually measure PSIG pressure up to 500 PSIG, and this one actually goes under atmospheric pressure, so it can go into a vacuum. This is the high side, actually doesn't go into a vacuum, and you can measure up to 800 PSIG. Also, another note is that the PT chart is actually printed on your gauges, depending on what kind of refrigerant you're using. In this case, we have R22, 410A, and 404A, so you'll be able to tell pressure, temperature, just here without having to use a piece of cardboard or anything. Anyways, the system has run for a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and hook up the low side. Same procedure. You can start it here, just a little bit, and loosen up this 2.5. Then you come here, then you close it both at the same time. Now both of your lines are purged, and they're actually reading. The high side is about 250 PSIG, and the low side is at 70. The idea for this would be for you to figure it out, maybe superheat, subcool, just to figure it out if the system is low in refrigerant, high in refrigerant, maybe there's an obstruction and the high pressure is really high, maybe your coils are dirty and it's indicated by your high side that is maybe at 300, 350, so this will allow you to actually understand what's going on in the system, right? Well, let's pretend that I worked in the system and we did everything that we had to. So right now I'm going to proceed to remove the hoses. Something that we do in order to conserve the refrigerant, because right now there's refrigerant in the lines and you don't want to just waste them into the atmosphere. What we do is that we close up our high side with the shutoff right here. So right now there's refrigerant in this hose. As you can see, there is almost there's 275 psi here. What we're gonna do, we're gonna purge the yellow line, and the way we do it is by opening this two spins and a half, and then we open the high side and we purge it. You're gonna hear it as well. There you go. Now the refrigerant is in your high side and your yellow hose. It's contained right here, and we want to send it back through the system to the hose, the low side. And the way we do it is by opening your shut-off valve right here and making sure that it doesn't go more than 10 psi higher, because you don't want liquid to get into the compressor. So we're trying to use this as a metering device to get the refrigerant. So we do it. It goes a little bit. It's actually, you can see how this is going down because the refrigerant is just getting to this pressure. Needle's going up a little bit. We're opening and opening. And right now, both sides are reading the same, about 70 and 70. So the hoses, whatever refrigerant they had in them, they were already inside the system. We closed the sides, and this is the lowest the low side is going to be. I close my shut-off valve right there, and I proceed to remove the hose. And since the high side is still like at a high pressure, we want to turn the system off, wait until it equalizes, and then hook up the gauge or the hose, because you don't want that pressure to shut out all the refrigerant. So we're going to turn it off, and we're going to wait for the system to turn off, and we can wait for a couple minutes until the system equalizes. One other side note, it's important to mention that R22 boils at atmospheric pressure at minus 42 degrees. So you don't want to get your hands that has the refrigerant because you can actually get burn out of the cold. 14A actually boils at minus 60, minus 50 Fahrenheit, 60 Fahrenheit, and you can get burned as well. It's also important to mention that 14A actually works at a higher pressure than R22, so it's something to keep an eye on. What else I can say about this? Right now, again, 3 gauges. All the refrigerant has going inside the system. Both valves are closed, everything's closed, and the system has taken some time to equalize. You can wait for 2 or 3 minutes. Again, you want to be picking up your tools. You want to be doing something. You don't want to be sitting around just waiting for the system to equalize. So we just go ahead and remove the hot side, and nothing came out of it. And that's basically how you hook up your gauges and hook up the gauge. Oh, I cannot forget, you have to remember to put always the caps on top of the shredder valves, or even also to check that they're not leaking, because sometimes if you get them off, there's a chance they may be leaking, so you want to make sure they're not leaking. And close them, you don't want dirt or anything getting in. So yeah, that's all for today, and I hope that made sense.